Greetings to viewers. This is King H from Southern Cameroon. I am. I believe in Pan Africanism absolutely. I believe that Pan Africanism is the way forward. It's the way forward for all Black people, Blacks in general, and Blacks in Africa, and Blacks all over the world should understand and learn Pan Africanism. But what is Pan Africanism in a simple term? In a simple term, what is Pan Africanism? Pan African simply means black people home and abroad. Black people home in a sense as Africa and abroad in the diaspora. So black people home and abroad are considered one family. And as one family must work together to mend or find um, ways to improve the black condition, the black life, black people. That is a simple way of defining Pan Africanism. That Africans, blacks all over the world working together to improve the condition of black people. If you've noticed, ever since the Western world came to in contact with Africa, we have had many issues. We've gone through colonization, neo-colonization. In a way, the West created a problem by dividing Africa for their own benefit through the Berlin Conference, creating gigantic countries like Congo and smaller countries like Rwanda, which is right next to Congo. In the other nations around that. But you see the you see what happened after uh, colonization is the fact that bigger nations were created in Africa and smaller nations were created in Africa. And these nations now have to fight, compete among themselves in order to grow. Meanwhile, the Western world, and also now we have Asia like China coming in to exploit the resources that's in Africa, using other nations in Africa against each other. So Pan Africanism is the way forward that could help in reducing some of this tension that African people are going through. Understanding that we are one people, and in order for us as Africans to grow, or for the continent to grow, Africa must be strong and one, must be strong and stand as one in the face of a world where you have the Chinese coming in or the Chinese exploiting the continent. You have the Western world still not leaving the continent because they know the resources is available that they need to enrich themselves. So in Congo, you have um, minerals like copper, gold, diamond, cobalt, uranium, coltan, oil, silver, platinum, and the list goes on. Congo is rich in resources, and Congo has been facing war for so long. And the trending topic is the fact that the Italian ambassador was killed in Congo. But the Italian government is threatening to drag DRC president to court. Italy has demanded an independent investigation to be launched immediately to uncover the truth. One Italian who was who is or was an ambassador, was killed in Congo. But do you know how many people in Congo have been killed? Over 6 million Congolese have been killed because of the war that was instigated by the West. And the West don't want to leave from Congo because Congo has so much resources that they need. So much resources that they need. Congo doesn't need aid. Congo needs justice. Over 6 million Congolese, over 4.5 million people have fled from Congo because of the war. And because one ambassador from Italy was killed with his bodyguard and the Congolese, but mainly because an ambassador was killed, the Italian government is threatening to drag the president of Congo to court, a court system where they controlled. So, in other words, Congo will be dragged to court. Other European nations will be involved in making the judgment, and eventually it will still come back to the Congolese government to pay a certain concession. In the process, they will still gain the resources that they need to enrich themselves. Meanwhile, the people in Congo and in many parts of Africa suffer. So Africans must learn to understand the game that is being played, because it's a game. It's a game that leads the West to enrich themselves and makes the continent and African countries to be poor. Congo doesn't need this war. This the armed rebels who are fighting in Congo don't need to continuously fight this war, because more people will get killed. The resources that they think they want access to will still be controlled by people who don't look like them. In other words, they'll get a little bit of the share to share among the amount of population that the Congolese people have. But most of the people will not get the share because it will remain to the government of Congo. Part of their resources, the financial resources that is gained through all the natural resources that is being sold, or all the natural resources that's in Congo, will be exploited by non Congolese and non-Africans or non-Africans. This is a war that has been instigated by non-Africans, but Africans are the one, or Congolese are the one being killed. But when one Italian ambassador getting killed, the ambassador, the Italian government and the Italian people speak highly of this guy who has passed, but forgetting that over 6 million Congolese have been killed in the war that is going on in Congo. You see, many Africans don't seem to understand the mind games that goes on in what that goes on in putting or putting the show that happens in African countries, the wars that are taking place in African countries. They don't see the mind game because it's a mind game that leads to some people getting rich and some people getting killed. Africans must wake up to the truth. You cannot take your problems to the same people that created the problem. You can't take a problem to be solved to the same people that started the problem in the first place. The division of Africa was done by non Africans. And that created these issues that we face. The Berlin Conference created this issue. But many of our African leaders are making things more difficult because they are too greedy for money that they will not use completely by themselves. Money that could be used for the population of Africa or for the population of like Congo, the population of Congo, with all the resources that Congo has, with all the resources that Congo has, the people of Congo should not be suffering if the leadership can equally share what Congo has to all Congolese people. Africa needs better leadership. Congo needs better leadership. And Congolese must find a way to solve this problem in Congo without involving the West. But yes, you know, Africans, they'll always go and beg the West to solve the problems that the West started without thinking a way forward in solving the problem that Africa has, you know, taken forward ever since the Berlin Conference, ever since colonization, ever since neo-colonization. So by taking the president of Congo to court will also means that the government of Congo will have to deal with whatever judgment that the courts, which is controlled by the West, decides, which will it's not gonna be fair for Africa, but we don't have the power to do anything. But if we want the power, we must work as one African people. We must, or the wars will never stop. And the people will continue to bleed because of our selfish, greedy, stupid leaders who are always on their knees begging the West to do for what they must do for themselves. We must find a way out. But Congo cannot find a way out through the West. The government of Congo needs to talk to the rebels and find out what they can do to help stop the war in Congo. That's what must be done. But will the government of Congo be bold enough to do it? Will the government of Congo act like a better leader? The war in Congo has been going on for so long. Yes, it needs justice, but it also needs a fair hearing. And who's going to give that fair hearing? Do you think the West is going to do that? Do you think countries like Italy or United Nations is going to do that? The United Nations has a lot to gain from Congo with the resources that Congo has. It's all about money and how much money they can make. 6 million people, over 6 million Congolese have been killed. And because of one ambassador who got killed. By the way, what was he doing in Congo? Did he know that there was a war going on in Congo? He died. He did. He did know there was a war going on, just like the Italy government or Italians knew that there was a war going on in Congo. But they took the risks because they saw the gains, the financial gains that they will obtain from Congo. See, this is how the West make their money through the resources of Africa. But our stupid, foolish African leaders are not smart enough, are not bold enough, do not trust each other enough to play the game with the West, so that they could win. There's a game going on, a mind game. And the game is all about how much resources can I gain from countries like Congo or countries in Africa that have the resources. Congolese are killing each other for something that they will still not have control over. It's time for Congo to wake up. It really is time for Africa to wake up, to see Pan-Africanism as the way forward, to see African people, despite what part of Africa you're from, as one family. There's a war going on, and there are countries that want to overtake the superpower nations in the world, countries like Iran, countries like China, countries like Russia. They all have their goals in the world. But what is the goal of Congo, or the goal of the government of Congo? What is the goal of African leaders or the African Union? What is the goal? What is the goal? What do we want to achieve? Do we want to continue? Do we want to continue serve the superpower nations, or find a way to stand and be considered a superpower through regional powers or through a strong African Union? That's left for Africans to decide. This is King H.